follow on from what John was saying about stories of Owen. Just kind of one occurred to me there that I thought I'd share. That there was one of Owen's poems. It's my favorite of his. A young man deliberates on love and what to do with it. He's got a little part in that is about a scene that he saw when he was on a train up in Dublin, about a woman who comes in, she's crying over a coffee cup. But the story kind of around that is that I was in Dublin the day that he saw that scene, and we kind of agreed he was coming up to Dublin, so we kind of agreed that we'd meet up when he arrived. So he got on the train going from Cork to Dublin, and then he fell asleep, as you would naturally. But the thing is that there's one of the trains that you're supposed to get a transfer in Mallow. So Owen fell asleep and then woke up about an hour later, and he was just like, there was loads of kids getting on with backpacks. He's like, that's kind of weird. Why are kids getting on with backpacks to go to school if this is going to Dublin? So he woke up, and then about 10 or 15 minutes later, he arrived back in Cork. So it took him a bit longer to get up to Dublin than he'd kind of anticipated. So anyway, kind of moving on to the next segment, we're going to introduce the scholar. The scholar of this year was really, really talented writer, and I'm really excited to hear the stuff that she's got ready for us. So it's Maeve Joy Taggart, who is published with lots of different people. She's published in Quarryman and Motley Magazine and Cherry Revolution, but also as part of the scholarship, we tried to set up the scholars with mentors. So so for instance, we had Alana was set up with the writer in residence, Danny Denton, who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight. But I'm glad that Eimear Ryan was able to make it tonight, who was Maeve's mentor. So I'd actually like to invite Eimear to say a few words before introducing Maeve.
Thanks so much, Eamon, and well done, everybody. It's been a fantastic evening. I really enjoyed all the performances, and delighted to be here in my capacity as Maeve's mentor. I think the importance of opportunities like the Eoin Murray Scholarship just can't be overstated, really. It gives moral support and financial support, helps young writers make connections, and gives the kind of recognition and encouragement that I think is so important, especially at the beginning of her career. So fair play to everybody involved. I think it's just a wonderful thing to have in the literary landscape. And these are tricky times for young writers. I think Alana alluded to it earlier, like living in lockdown and not having, the everyday interactions and kind of textures and friction of normal life has made creating kind of more difficult than ever. So I think, material has been kind of harder to come by than ever in the last year and a half. And I think young writers as well kind of have to pull off a tricky balancing act, in the sense that you have to have self-belief and really back yourself, but at the same time you're embarking on a career where there's the nature of the writing life, I suppose, is that your work will get turned down on occasion. So you need a lot of resilience, which I think makes supports like this scholarship just so vital. And I know myself in my early career, a really important thing that my mentors did for me was kind of demystifying the writing process and the publishing process. So it's been a real privilege for me to now be able to kind of pass on the benefit of my experience, and it's been really, really wonderful working with Maeve. So just to speak a little bit about Maeve's writing before I hand over for her reading. Myself and my colleagues at the School of English were just so impressed with Maeve's work, her instincts, her ability to take risks, and maybe above all, her knack for a great turn of phrase. And I just think she has a great eye for small telling detail, and her writing is full of sharp and funny observations. And I think, so much of becoming a writer is learning to trust your voice and trust your own point of view. And there's kind of a quiet confidence, I think, in Maeve's work that shows that she's well on her way. So thank you so much, and I'll hand over to Maeve now.